I would like to reconvene our meeting of the Board of Trustees. The first item is the approval of minutes for our June 10th, 2014 meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, edits to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 10th, 2014. A motion by Trustee Clark, second by Trustee Aranga. Comments, members of the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, if you could please call the roll.
President Kellogg.
Aye.
Vice President Clark.
Aye.
Member Bowen.
Aye.
Member Otto.
Aye.
And Member Uranga.
Aye. Motion carries without objection. Introductions, special announcements. President Oakley.
Yes, thank you, Board President Kellogg. I just have a couple of special announcements. We have a couple of retirees that we want to take a moment to honor this evening. And I don't see them in the room, but we are going to honor them anyway. They are a very special couple here at Long Beach City College. They have both decided to retire. First, let me begin by congratulating Kerry Lawrence, telecommunications specialist. He served the district since 1983, 31 years of service as in the telecommunications area. Kerry has been a character around this college for a long, long time, and we will definitely miss him. And Sherry Lawrence is also retiring, and she also worked in IITS as a user support technician. She served the district for 35 years, so both of them together dedicated quite a bit of their life to Long Beach City College. We're going to miss them both. Very proud of their service, so please join me in congratulating both Kerry and Sherry Lawrence on their retirement.
All right, thank you. I do not believe, but I will ask a question ordering the agenda. I'm unaware of any changes in the agenda as it is posted, so we'll continue with that. Next comment is public comments on agenda items. At the request, members of the public may comment on items listed on the agenda at the time the item is discussed and prior to the board action of the item. A 5-minute time limit will be allowed to each speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes, which isn't relevant in this part. I have 3 speakers who wish to speak on agenda items only. They are, and whoever would like to begin, but they are Renee Bade for item 9.2.
Excuse me, President Kellogg, she had to leave the meeting. Renee did.
Renee had to leave. Then Ann Engel, multiple items, 1.1, 5.2, 12.9, and also Joseph Roswald, who has item 7. So those 2 individuals would like to come to the podium. You have 5 minutes, and just so you know, I will try to get your attention at the 4-minute mark. I'll wave to you. Please, I hope it's not distracting, but I have the timer. And so, and then at 5 minutes, I would just tell you that if you could please wrap up your comments. So your name for the record, please.
Annie Engel. I'm in IITS. I'm a classified member for about 12 years. And thank you for hearing me tonight. And congratulations for Board Member Clark and Bowen. You will be missed. First of all, I do want to speak to agenda item 5.2. It has to do with reinstatement of classified employees. And when I was looking last night at what was happening, and I was so thrilled to see this, because there's 25 classified employees that got reinstated from a lower, like a 10-month to a 12-month or a 10-month to a full-time 100%. And I hear stories and how hard it is for all the classified, and I am so thrilled that we have 25 people who have got bumped back up, and we really appreciate it, and I would love to hear a hand for that happening. In saying that, there are still some people on 10 months who are very much struggling, so I sure hope we can get them on that list at some point very soon. The other thing I wanted to address was the policy change for participation, public participation at board meetings. I think I understand this, but there was one, well, let me go start here. The phrasing from the old version to the new version, I think might set people back a little bit, and you might want to consider a word change. Because the first line of the old phrase says, "The order of business of any official board meeting will include an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any item." And the new one, it states, "The public is allowed to address the board before or during the consideration of any item." And the allowed, it just rubs me a little wrong. I don't know if it's going to rub other people a little wrong. It just sounds a little, I think the board has an opportunity, the public has an opportunity to address the board. Sounds better. It makes me feel more inclusive and welcomed to speak. Just my thoughts on that. The other thing is having to be able to, has to do with the closed session. And I'm not sure if I completely understand that if we want to address something that's in closed session, that we can't take it like at the 5 o'clock and put in a public comment at that point, because it's still an agenda item, and A states agenda items. So just because it's in a closed session doesn't mean it's not an agenda item. It could state something like, the written request must be submitted prior to the beginning of the closed session if you want the board to consider your comment during closed session. Or they can submit it later if they don't want it to be considered. Because otherwise, people don't have the opportunity to be heard. And I think you want people to be heard. And I don't know much else. So I hope you want to hear what people have to say, because I think it's important. I think that would be good for morale. And I think it would give you guys more perspective. Okay, last item. In the consent section, when I was looking this over last night, I saw a 12.9, and it says destruction of records. And I was looking for the background and the supporting documents, and I didn't see anything, and maybe I missed it because there's 300 pages or something. But I have a concern about the destruction of records. Is that a policy now? And if it's a policy change, I hope something can be explained about that destruction of records and what that regards, so that everybody feels more comfortable about that issue. Thanks.
Thank you. As you're making your way to the question, because it's a good question. It was on consent. We've approved consent, but the reason on this item, President Oakley, why we do the destruction of records, I know it can sound very intimidating about something's being burned that's happened to other organizations, but someone want to explain?
Well, the purpose of the item is to notify the public of that, first of all, we are authorized to destroy certain records, but we are notifying the public of the authorization. These are records that are kept for, and Vice President Gable can describe how many years they're kept, but once they're kept beyond that point, then they can be destroyed. We just need to come to the board to let the public know that we're going to be destroying those documents as we're authorized to do. But I'll let Vice President Gable add some more detail.
Yes, in accordance with Board Policy 2007, as well as Title V regulations, we do every year come forward with the item to destroy records that are older than 5 years old. And those types of records are those that are considered disposable. So it's not the permanent records, but it's items such as copies of checks and invoices and purchase orders, contracts, everything that's not considered a permanent record. So, W-2s and 1099s and tax records, budgets, those are all considered permanent records. So these are the things that are classified as disposable after a set period of time in accordance with Title V.
All right, thank you. That's a good question. I mean, we're used to seeing it, but good to bring up. Joseph, your name for the record, please.
Yes.
And you are talking on item 7.
That's correct. Actually, 9.1, my name is P. Joseph Rosenwald. Honorable members of the Board of Trustees, student trustee, staff, and vice presidents of the college, faculty, and assembled citizens. I'm going to be speaking about the welcoming environment of the campuses and property and service outlets of the Long Beach Community College District. First of all, today I went to the website and I went to the site index for the Center for International Trade. And what I found was just this, error 404, file not found. That's not a very welcoming type of introduction to the Center for International Trade, which I'm very interested in. Then I went to the Small Business Development Center, and I have a map that's right here. It lists the address as 4901 East Conant Street. Now, the actual address is 4900 East Conant Street. It's in Building 2. It was a little confusing because I had to go to the public safety office. The officer there did not know where the Center for International Trade was, and I said it could be under the Small Business Development Center. So even people who are assigned to this campus under contract with the Long Beach Police Department don't know where certain offices are. And that's a significant office because we have people over in Dubai right now at a conference, very significant. That's also a welcoming environment. Who do I come in, who do I meet, who tells me about the campus? Public safety couldn't tell me, the officer didn't know. I tried to prompt him, so. Second place is at 3340 Los Coyotes Diagonal. It's property that was purchased by the college in 2003. The fence covering is coming off. It's not tacked down. If you look at the lot, it's got plants growing through it. There's holes in it, I guess. There's no identifying sign on it that says that it belongs to Long Beach City College. I think that that's important, that people know that that property is the college's property. The third is at 309 Pine Avenue. This is the Small Business Development Center office, part of the LA Trade Network, and it's located right across from the F&M Bank. There's no phone or hours on the outside of the building. The windows are etched with graffiti. I've been there last week 3 times. There was no one in the office at all. I asked at F&M, because I had some business there, the receptionist, they said, we just talked about that last week. We never see anyone in there. Neither did the manager of the Chase Bank, which I also had business at. And I did speak to a member of the clean team, which goes around and cleans the sidewalks, part of the business district. He never saw anyone in there either, or hardly ever. He saw people taking surveys on a Saturday once. There's a boarded up storefront right next door. Looks terrible. The brick configuration inside the building could be unreinforced. I don't know, but someone would have to check on that. It's not lit inside. It's a waste of public money. I don't understand why this building is there. It's a city building, I understand, owned by the city. I would think that the college, having its contract for police and certainly relationships with the city, could get them to improve the building. There's 2 flags that are flying up. Well, one flag's not flying. It's folded over on itself. It's not welcoming at all. In fact, I would think in an area of North Pine Avenue, which is so depressed with so many vacant businesses, that the college would not allow this type of site to be there. It's not welcoming at all. It's an embarrassment. And anyway, and then finally, Pacific Coast campus. The signs on the campus, one sign said, had an area code of 310 to call. I tried to call the number. It was for something to do with, parking or cars, and it's an old sign. The signs up by Roosevelt School are old, and they're the signs that would tell you the section of the vehicle code and where to call if your car is towed, I don't think are filled in on that campus. They're certainly not filled in on this campus over here. And that's something that a person could contest if their car were towed because they were breaking the law in terms of parking. The parking signs at the Pacific Coast campus that say where the meters are they direct you to the wrong. There's one that directs you to the traffic circle where the flagpole is. It says straight ahead, but there's no parking machine there. And many of the signs are faded. I drove onto the campus over here today, and the buildings look beautiful. The lawns look beautiful. They're all painted. Didn't see one thing that I would criticize. Well, how about the Child Center down at the Pacific Coast campus?
Could you bring your comments to a close, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you please
Yes, I
bring your
will.
comments to a
I'll
close?
finish my comments. Just take me probably less than 30 seconds.
It will take you less than 30 seconds.
Oh, well, thank you. Just finish with the Child Development Center. How could something like this be unpainted? It's just not welcoming at all. I don't think it matters to the administration and possibly the board, but the board has to depend on staff in order to find out about these things. I hope that what I've told you is that enlivening and enlightening and educational. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public speakers on agenda items. So at this time, we'll move forward on to the agenda. Item 1.1, this is the revised district policy 2013. This is an action item. This is the public participation, as was mentioned by one of our speakers. This is, and I'm going to read the background. As per government code, our governing board provides an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the boards on any items of interest to the public before or during the board's consideration of the items and the items that do not appear on the agenda. The board may adopt, limiting the total amount of times allocated for public testimony and for each individual speakers. The revised policy was submitted to the board for first reading at the June 10th, 2014 meeting. Additional revisions were made at that time and are now presented for final approval. I'm going to, for discussion purposes, we do need a motion and a second on the floor for discussion. Could I entertain a motion to approve this item and a second, please? Revisions of district policies. Motion by, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. Who just said that? Trustee Bowen, second? Second by Trustee Aranga. Now comments, members of the board. Just as background, it was mentioned also, we've been trying to, with addressing Brown Act issues and others, as one of the speakers did previously mention, when we have items that are at our closed session, what we now are trying to do is have people speak before we go into closed session, because those are specifically dedicated to closed sessions. We have speaker cards for that. What we did not have was really a continuity as far as the timing for speakers. One was 3 minutes, one was 5 minutes, and so on. So we're just trying to clean up the language, but it is not to discourage or to limit public comments. We're just trying to make it more consistent in accordance with the rules and regulations. And that's what essentially was the intent. As far as the comments, I did go through some revisions from our last meeting, but I'm comfortable with the changes at this point in time. Other comments, members of the board? Chair recognizes Trustee Clark.
Yeah, I have some concern about going from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. I'm willing to, of course, I won't be here, but I'm willing to see how that, the board to see how that works. because I don't think we want to really limit. I realize that probably most of the speakers are rather a short period, but I think we need to evaluate that and see if that, for you to evaluate that and see how that works out, rather going from 5 to 3 minutes. That would be my major concern.
Other members of the board? And we did look at that, by the way. We were trying to see the speakers. We had an option. We either take a 3-minute to a 5-minute or a 5-minute to a 3-minute. I have to say that in the last few months, I've kept a track of the speakers. Most people are within 3 minutes, but if you have a 5-minute limit, you can't restrict their time. You have to give those individuals the minimum 5 minutes. If you have 3 minutes and you want to extend it, you can do so. So we're just trying to make it more simple to make these meetings flow, but the intent is never, and I was mentioning to Tom Clark, we actually dealt with this on the city council. Tom turned to me and said, I don't remember it, but we did deal with it over on the city council, same situation. Other comments, members of the board, on this item? Chair recognizes Trustee Otto.
Yeah. Just very briefly, in response to one of the comments that was made about this item, it's really important for the board to hear from the public about items on the agenda before they decide them. And that's why we wanted to make it crystal clear that if you want to talk about something that's on the agenda for closed session, that you need to put in a card ahead of time so that we can hear what it is that you have to say. It doesn't do much good to make comments about an item that's already been taken into consideration and voted on. So that's why it's set up both to allow testimony and written communications for any agenda item. If it's in closed session, you put your card in before the closed session so that we can hear what it is that you have to say and we can take it into consideration. And if it's an open session, before the open session starts, so that just like these comments have been made today, we can take those into consideration as we act. On non-agenda items, and you want to bring something before the board, you can also come to the board and talk about it. There's always an agenda item for that. And you can also submit written materials pursuant to the policy that allows everybody to get information before the board. But it needs to be before the decisions are made, because it wouldn't make any sense to have people come up after a vote's already been taken and say, well, what about this? Because you've got to get through the meetings. That's all.
Other members of the board at this time? There is a motion and a second on the floor. No other discussion. Madam Secretary, if you could please call the roll on Item 1.4, Revision of District Policy 2031.
President Kellogg?
Aye.
Vice President Clark?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
Member Yoranga?
Aye. Motion carries. Next is the consent calendar. Are there items from the consent calendar which should be removed by members of the board? I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Clark.
Second.
Second by Trustee Oranga. Comments, questions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
President Kellogg?
Aye.
Vice President Clark?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
Member Yoranga?
Aye.
The motion carries. Human Resources, 5.3, Salary Schedule, Classified Employee Exempt from Merit Systems. This is an action item. President Oakley, do we need any background material at this time, or members of the board, do you wish to have background material on this item at this time? Hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve Human Resource Item 5.3, Salary Schedule, Classified Employee Exempt from Merit System. Entertain a motion from the members of the board.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Otto,
Second.
second by Trustee Bowen. Questions on this? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, if you could please call the roll on item 5.3.
President Kellogg?
Aye.
Vice President Clark?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
Member Yoranga?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5.4, Personnel Commission Annual Budget. Concurrence on this item. Are we to have a report on this, President Oakley?
We don't have a report, but Julie Kosick is here, should the board have questions about the budget that's before it for concurrence.
Any questions beyond why are you leaving? Put you on the spot. Julie is moving on to another institution, so it's not anything bad. Members of the board, questions on the budget for the, it is very straightforward. Hearing none, On a concurrence, are we required to take a vote? Just concurred? Without objection, then there is concurrence on this item 5.4 Personnel Commission Annual Budget, except for the fact to say that they do great work for us and we appreciate their efforts. We know it's been very challenging, but we always appreciate the members of the commission on doing hard work.
If I may, Board President Kellogg, if we can just take this moment, since we're talking about the commission, to thank Julie Kosick for her many years of service to the classified staff and the Long Beach Community College District. She's done great work here on behalf of all of our staff. She's been integral to human resources, and she will definitely be missed by us all, including her commissioners on the Personnel Commission. And I'd also like to have Vice President Delgadio say a few words.
Thank you, President Oakley. Julie, you've been tremendous. You've been a tremendous colleague. For the last 8 years, Julie has served the college in a stellar fashion. These have been perhaps some of the most difficult years the college has experienced in recent times, surviving the Great Recession, and certainly there were lots of activities and processes that needed to be undertaken, and Julie exercised her leadership through each one of them, getting us through in a very effective manner. And so I totally have appreciated Julie's leadership and ability to work cooperatively with folks and come to bring issues to fruition in a very commendable fashion. And so, Julie, not only am I going to miss you, but you know that your colleagues are all going to miss you. I've heard lots of groans and moans over the fact that you're leaving, but we recognize that you're going to be living closer to home or working closer to home, and that is going to be sweet for you, and so we're delighted for you. And the good thing is that we know that in the community colleges, we will continue to see you in all of those familiar places. So best of luck. I know you're going to be terrific at North Orange Community College District, and we will see you at probably the next ACRO conference. Congratulations, and you will be missed.
Yeah, congratulations, Julie, and North Orange. They're getting a great addition, and we're sorry to see you go, but we know it's also it's a great step for you as well. No action from the board as far as voting, so we move to item 5.5, which is management team salary schedules 2014-2015, 2015-2016. This is an action item. Do we need some background material on this item? Again, it's straightforward. Members of the board, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
This motion by Trustee Otto.
Second.
Second by Trustee Aronga. Are there any questions at this time from members of the board on the management team salary schedules for 2014-15 and 2015-2016? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, if you please call the roll on item 5.5.
President Kellogg?
Aye.
Vice President Clark?
Aye.
Member Bowen?
Aye.
Member Otto? Member Uranga?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, Academic Senate. No item, no report. We will recognize you during this meeting, though, because this is your last meeting. Besides Doug and I, is everyone else leaving?
I'm leaving too. I'm leaving too.
I'm the last to know.
The ship is
well,
sinking.
Sonny's in the audience, so at least I know we're okay. So, anyway, you have done a great job. We appreciate when you came in on a very difficult situation with the very abrupt resignation of a good friend, and you came in. So, thank you for stepping in and doing a great job for all this time. I know it's not easy, but we appreciate your candor and your support in helping us too. I personally appreciate how you've handled it. So, thank you. So we're next to the Superintendent President, informational items, 9.1, College Planning Committee institutional priorities, and 9.2, options for potential board vacancies. These are both informational items. Chair recognizes President Oakley.
Yes, thank you, Board President Kellogg. Item 9.1, reflects the work of the College Planning Committee, which is co-chaired by our Academic Senate President, Dana Van Sinden, as well as Dr. Marilyn Brock, who could not be here tonight, as well as Dr. Eva Bagg. And the College Planning Committee is the college's overall planning governance committee, and annually it prepares institutional priorities for the college for the upcoming year. And so these are the priorities that the College Planning Committee has recommended. I will be using in my planning process as well. And I think that they reflect accurately the direction the college is going and is what it's trying to achieve. And I also think that it reflects the priorities of the Board of Trustees as well. So these are presented for information for the Board of Trustees.
Questions, members of the board, at this time on the 9.1 College Planning Committee, institutional priorities? Then we'll proceed on to 9.2, options for potential board vacancy.
Yes, item 9.2, the board asked staff to come back with information regarding options for a potential board vacancy. We have a certain member of the board who was elected to the city council, so should there be a vacancy, the board wanted to understand its options. So for that, I've asked Vice President Gable to do a short presentation on the options before the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, President Oakley. We'll just give it one moment for Myra to get it up. Okay. So basically, the board has two options if a vacancy occurs occurs before the last 4 months of a term for a board member. And those two options are either a provisional appointment or a special election. Depending on either one, the board needs to make the decision if they're going to appoint or if they're going to call for a special election within 60 days of when either the vacancy occurs or the deferred resignation occurs. And what a deferred resignation is, it's basically when a member notifies and sets the date that they will be vacating the seat. That's what deferred resignation means. So under a provisional appointment, some of the steps that the board would go through, the first thing would be there would be a board resolution establishing their desire to appoint, and within that resolution it would identify the selection process, and that should occur as soon as possible after the vacancy is known. The vacancy would then be posted in 3 public places within the college campuses and must be published within a newspaper of general circulation. If the board so chooses, they may create a subcommittee to review the applications and select finalists for an interview. And then within the 60 days of the vacancy actually occurring, they need to hold a board meeting and actually make the appointment at that board meeting. The candidate that would be appointed by the board would hold office until the next board election date, and at which time that candidate could then run to fulfill the unexpired term of the vacated seat. Within 10 days after the appointment is made, again, the board needs to ensure that the appointment, the name of the candidate that was appointed provisionally, is posted in those same 3 public places and within a general circulation newspaper. If the board chose to do a special election, they would need to do so by passing a resolution that would call for the special election. Again, the vacancy would be published along the same lines as a provisional appointment vacancy. The election would be held at the next election date. And then the district would be responsible for the cost of that election, which is estimated by the county at $5.50 per registered voter within the area. And the elected candidate would then hold office for the remainder of the term of the vacated seat. So that's the short and quick version of the board's choices and the steps that would be taken. I'll just open it up for any questions that you may have.
Questions, members of the board, at this time? Chair recognizes Trustee Aranga.
Yeah, can you go over that one item again regarding the deferred?
What is the deferred resignation? So deferred resignation would be if a member chose to vacate their seat and submitted a letter to the superintendent president and the board and specified a date that they wanted to vacate the seat. So, you know, for example, if it was you that wanted to vacate your seat, you could submit a letter and say, you know, I'm going to vacate my seat on December 31st. 2014. And so then the board would have 60 days from December 31st to follow this process.
Thank you.
And a question on the a subcommittee, using that, I'm assuming then the subcommittee, is that a subcommittee of the board, or is that a subcommittee of individuals appointed by the president and or the board?
It's strictly up to the board on how they want to do that. Typically, other districts that have gone through this process, it's been a subcommittee, a lot of times made up of the superintendent president and a couple board members.
But it could be also, and the reason I'm asking is because if to try and give ourselves as a board, because we will have the final say if it's an appointment process, that to have a, for lack of a better term, an independent group of individuals review them it also gives us a little bit more separation from the process. But so it could be, the answer is it could be either or. As far as all these, so we know on the, all these process that I'm staring at right now, is this all from legal? Is this all been addressed legally as well? Is this mostly coming from the legal statutes or in the state of California?
Yeah, it's following both the board policy 2024 that you guys have, as well as administrative regulation, but primarily everything that's mentioned is within education code. So it's very prescriptive on what you have to do, when you have to do it, and how you do it. And so everything that I've laid out here comes directly from the education code.
Does the educational code, because this is a scenario where we have an individual, Roberto Aranga, going to the Long Beach City Council, is this process taking into account that he will be becoming a city council member in the month of July? Does that have any impact on this at all, or that is not even really a factor?
It's not a related factor.
Okay, so that's been addressed also legally.
You have a question?
All right, very good. Chair recognizes Trustee Aranga.
In regards to the special election, you say there's a $5.50 cost per registered voter. Every district is different in regards to its voter registration. What would be the cost for the second district, for area 2?
Roughly, I'm estimating it would be about $262,000.
200 and what?
62,000.
Okay. Well, there hasn't been an election in area 2 in a while, so, okay.
It's true. When was the last time that, I know this Long Beach Unified School District had an appointment process within the last few years. Has there ever been one for the Long Beach City College Board of Trustees?
I'm not aware of one in my history or in the immediate history prior to me getting here.
Tom, has anyone ever been appointed?
I think in 16 years I've been here.
I don't recall. So, but do I understand this right? Is that really you've now provided us with some options, and the options are very simple, whether we're going to appoint, have a process to appoint, or to go out for an election. Before any of those things are to be addressed, it really comes down to when Trustee Aranga will notify us when his last day before the election. Your election is for 2016 for that seat on the board here. So, but all this is, the trigger is when we are given written notification from Trustee Aranga.
And if I could interject, this is all triggered based on the existence of a vacancy. So that vacancy would be up to Trustee Uranga to decide. If he decided to vacate July 1 or at the end of his term, that would be up to Trustee Uranga to decide.
And we haven't, I'm going to recognize Trustee Bowen. We have had legal opinions on his position. Those have been expressed as well, correct?
We have not expressly received a legal opinion because my understanding is the only person who can make a determination is the Attorney General of the State of California, whether or not, the question is whether or not the seats are incompatible. Many other elected officials hold more than one elected office. The question would be whether the two seats are incompatible. We've done some preliminary analysis, but that's certainly not a legal analysis. The preliminary analysis is that they are not incompatible, but that is not the only person who could say with certainty is the Attorney General.
Okay. Chair recognizes Trustee Bowen.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on this. I know if and when this decision has to be made by the board, I won't still be here, but as long as I'm here for one more meeting, I would like to get my 2 cents in on this because I feel very strongly about this issue of vacancies. I mean, do we hold a special election or do we make an interim appointment? You know, the nation saw the potential for that problem a few years ago with the scandal with the Illinois governor replacing the president's Senate seat. And not to imply that I believe my colleagues or my future colleagues are going to do something like that, but it's just without doing that, I feel very strongly that as a principle that we are elected officials for a reason. It's not democratic. That should not be the method that is chosen. And yet, on the other hand, we also have a responsibility to the college and the costs of holding a special election. And it's interesting, when I was sorting out, just watching the news on the aforementioned scandal with the Illinois governor, what I always thought is the best method, and I think maybe one of the reasons why back when he was still protesting his innocence, he wanted to make it look that way. You know, I think he tried to, by choosing somebody who had no intention of seeking a full 6-year Senate term, not like it did him any good, but I think he was trying to show that, I wasn't trying to be corrupt with this because, look, he's not even a candidate for re-election. I think that maybe teaches a good lesson to us or anybody else that's in a similar position, because what I'm looking at here on page 2 of our handout, when it says a provisional appointment candidate will hold office until next board election date, and as this candidate may then run to be elected for the remainder of the unexpired term, that's the part that I mean, as far as the legal opinions of what we can and can't do, that's one thing, but in terms of what we should do, my suggestion would be, basically to follow the example of save the college the costs associated with an election by do an appointment, but make sure that it's very clear that it is an interim appointment. It is somebody that's just going to be a placeholder until the next full 4-year term, so that you're not giving that plum appointment to somebody who will then get to run with the incumbency advantage, somebody that's going to be there for years, which of course was the accusation that Blagojevich was trying to do, is trying to sell it to, he does have to get reelected, but he will have the incumbency advantage. So that would be my suggestion, is that the future board does make that appointment, but making it very clear that it is an interim appointment and that they only choose somebody that has made it very clear, basically has made a William Tecumseh Sherman-esque statement regarding their absolute lack of interest in seeking the full term. So that's just my suggestion for the future.
Question I have on the process. So until we have an official notification from Trustee Aranga, when he feels it's the appropriate time, or for whatever during the term, his term does expire again in 2016. When and if we do get that notification, as a members of board, is at that time we come back to the board and lay out the process as far as whether we appoint a committee, a subcommittee, whatever terminology we want to use, or if we begin the process of going for an election, do we still have to take board actions to do that after we're giving the notification? I'm assuming
Once you're giving the notification, you have to declare, the board has to declare through board resolution what it's going to do, whether or not it's going to seek to fill by appointment or call for a special election.
and so the resolution would come then before the board for a vote.
Correct.
And the resolution would be very prescriptive on what the process is, if there's going to be a committee, when the interviews would be held, if you're going to do interviews, when the date of the board election or board meeting would be, when the appointment would be made. So it'd be very prescriptive. There's been several local districts that have done appointments, and so we do have a lot of resource material that we can go to for previous resolutions that have been made, as well as newspaper announcements and that type of thing.
All right, very good. Other comments at this time? Mr. the board? Trustee Aronga?